I remember years ago when I first moved to Los Angeles, I found myself at a crossroads of where my past self and my future self stood. I remember having just graduated from the academy, and shortly after moving to LA, I made it my mission to find an art studio to rent in the city. I had no idea how I was going to make it happen. I just knew that it was going to happen. I found the most beautiful little space in a building full of other artists, and I hurled myself towards my dream of being a professional artist. I was exclusively working with natural pigments by then and would often run out of color as I worked. I would go out into nature in the mountains, which I could see in the distance from my studio window. I often came back empty-handed though, after not being able to find the exact color that I needed. I love the reds that were found in those mountains, but they are oftentimes only found in the highest elevations. So frustratingly, I would climb up there only to come home empty-handed and exhausted.
Okay, it's in my hand. It's in my hand. Oh my god, there he is! Ah! He's in my hand!
Over months, I could see how this was just another way in which I had overextended myself. And so I began to question it. They say that life imitates art, and when I started peeling back the purpose of my art, or why I was doing things in such a specific way, my life began to peel apart too. I could see how this was a physical manifestation of my sense of control. At the time, I was painting representationally and already kind of emotionally spent on creating representative work, but I didn't know what else to make. Or deeper than that, if anyone would support me emotionally or financially. But I could feel that there was something else calling me. I made an intentional decision to clear my head before my hikes. I wasn't looking for any specific color or material anymore. I was thinking about that one half-painted portrait living in the corner of my studio and how much yellow it was missing. But I entered my hike with one goal: to enjoy it. And slowly, it was when I took a step back and stopped forcing things that other opportunities were presented to me that I would have never noticed. It was during this time in my life that I found myself teetering on the edge between staying in the safety zone with portraits, landscapes, recognizable things that my academic career so far depended on, or jumping into abstract works that lived in the deepest pages of my sketchbook. This decision only echoed in other areas of my life, and my coming to terms that I was in an abusive relationship for over 7 years. With a lot of hardship, I left that relationship and dedicated myself wholeheartedly to my art and my healing. I spent days in the studio, went on long hikes, and questioned a lot about the way that I saw myself. I wanted to change the limiting beliefs that I held on to, and I really started questioning where they even came from to begin with. It was during a session with my EMDR therapist that I had a type of vision or an image of me walking through a white walled gallery space with these giant paintings on either side of me. They were so alluring and captivating in their simplicity. I remember being so touched by them that I was crying, and I walked to the front of the gallery to see the name of the artist, only to find my own name written on the wall. After the session, I ran to the studio to make these paintings, only to realize that they were already there, just in miniature form. With each natural color that I make, I paint a swatch on a little 2-inch piece of scrap paper and I tack it onto the wall. These are my samples and swatches that I use for reference to know what colors I made and where it came from. I've been hanging these little swatches on my wall since the academy, and now I found myself face to face with them in a very real way. Sometimes what you're looking for is directly in front of you, you just can't see it yet. It was then that my abstract work was born, or fed, And slowly, my life began to grow in ways that I could have never anticipated. I painted larger and larger, but these little swatches still called out to me. There was something just so intimate about their size. So, I decided to start a mail club. Each month, I send a mini original painting using the natural colors I'm working with in the studio. I include a handwritten letter, which is meant to let you carve out time of your day to slow down and reconnect. I've thought about typing these letters as my mail club grew, but I think that would completely defeat the purpose. I want them to be small relics of intentional, slow creation. They're reminders that by slowing down, we can hear ourselves more clearly. The world now is digital and instantaneous, but by sending physical artwork through a not so immediate channel like the postal service, feels like I'm taking back some of my agency. I paint each painting by hand, label the back with the pigment name, location of collection, and my signature. The paintings are then placed in a protective sleeve and enclosed in a handwritten letter. I write the name of each member on the front of the envelopes by hand so that when you receive your mail, it's not just added to a pile of digitized bills. You are acknowledged by a real person who wants to share a small part of her world with you. This color here was collected in Mexico at a nature area about an hour or so outside of Mexico City. There were all kinds of beautiful things on this hike, including a special furry friend who accompanied me on my hike. This was one of the first nature retreats I did after arriving in Mexico, and it was a much needed reset after a lot of travel and readjusting to a new country. But something I did not see coming were the tariffs that would be imposed 2 days after I moved here. Essentially, Mexico had stopped sending mail to the US due to the tariffs that were imposed by the current administration, which meant that the only way I could send a letter would be through a private carrier, which were quoting me $50 to send one letter, and I had to send about 20. So, imagine my frustration. Usually, I just stick a little stamp onto the envelopes and drop them off at the postal office, but things here were very different. So for now, I am sending them all in one package after buying a prepaid label and sending them to a friend in LA to stamp and mail out for me. Finding the physical location of the carrier was another thing. I looked on Google Maps and located a store that was at the base of the mountain, only to have my driver bring me down and for us to realize that it was actually closed. So when I arrived to this mail carrier and it was under construction, I felt pretty defeated. But someone told me that they had only moved locations inside of the building, so on the search I went, and I found it. I was able to package everything just fine and sent the letters on their way, finally. If you'd like to join the mail club and receive an original artwork from me each month, the link to join can be found on my website below. It's only $10 a month and mails anywhere in the world. I'm excited to share more about the process and the magic behind these paintings and the places that I visit along the way. As always, thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week.